Hello and welcome to The Conversation in News Central Television. This is a program where we bring you up to speed with all the political happenings on the African continent. I am Benga Aporoa.
And I am Rita Omodia. Today on The Conversation, we'll be looking at Sierra Leone, which held its general elections on Saturday. Tensions are high as people await the pronouncement of the results. Also, we will look at the outcome of the Paris summit, where world leaders converged to discuss issues affecting the world, particularly Africa, such as tackling world poverty and addressing climate change. Definitely a lot of discussions. I mean, over the weekend, we saw the Paris bond. We talk about debt suspension or repayment, whilst other people are calling for debt cancellation. I mean, looking at the impact that the climate change and other use of fossil fuels has caused Africa and other developing nations.
And also, as a result of the Paris finance summit that they had. Kenya's president, I'm sure you've noticed, has been very vocal.
Yeah.
This day.
Actually, Kenya and South Africa's president have been very vocal.
Yes, very vocal. And he made really poignant points talking about restructuring the Bretton Woods institutions, the IMF and the World Bank, and that, you know, this loans should be done on favorable terms and not backed by natural resources. So, but I hope it's not just a talk shop, because we have conferences here and there. But at the end of the day, what difference does it make to the common man in these African countries? I guess with time, we'll tell.
Definitely, that's what our discussions have been so far. I mean, for Africa, for developing nations, actually for those who have really felt the impact of the climate change, is there going to be a lot of financing for these countries? How will they cope? And those who are dependent on fossil fuels, if you're saying a just transition, how exactly can it be equitable enough for these countries?
Exactly, because, I mean, at the end of the day, it's not fair. Africa is the least polluter, the least generator of CO2 emissions, but we feel the effects of climate change more. But let's get straight into our main topic of the day. We begin first in Sierra Leone, where the people went to the polls on Saturday in a presidential election to determine whether incumbent President Julius Maada Bio would secure a second term. The election was expected to be a two-horse race between President Bio and his main rival, Dr. Samura Kamara, with polls indicating Bio's potential victory.
However, concerns about regional allegiances and tensions during the campaign raised worries about potential violence and vote rigging. The winner needed to secure 55% of the vote to avoid a runoff, and if necessary, it would be the second runoff between Bio and Kamara since 2018. The country's economic crisis, characterized by high poverty rates and youth unemployment, added to the challenges faced by the incumbent president. The final outcome of the election remained uncertain, and concerns persisted about the potential for further unrest if a clear majority was not achieved.
Hello. Good afternoon, all. If not the best, but it's one of the best election day in Sierra Leone over the period. And that is in line with the promise we made to this country when I assumed office, that I want to supervise an election where our children will be going to school and ordinary people will be going about their normal businesses. Voting took place yesterday in all polling stations nationwide. In some polling stations where polls did not open on time, voting continued beyond 5 p.m., ensuring that all those in queue voted.
Of course, that was the chairperson of the Sierra Leone Electoral Commission, of whom the mandate was put in place to make sure that there was a free, fair election in Sierra Leone. And he said that the elections were not necessarily the best, but at least it was consumably, and it was one of the best elections that they have so far had in Sierra Leone. And now joining us for this conversation, we have Abdul Malik Bangura. He's a journalist and PR expert. He joins us from Freetown, Sierra Leone. Thank you so much for joining us on The Conversation. And to start with, let's first of all have an overall assessment of the election, because a lot of people were hoping that this election will be free and fair. So what was your candid assessment of the elections?
Good evening. And good afternoon from Britain. Actually, the general assessment of the election so far, I think from the opposition side, they have been on the neck of the Electoral Commission for Sierra Leone. They say that they doubt the credibility of the Electoral Commission, particularly with the fact that the Electoral Commission yesterday made it clear that they were going to tally the election results without it being projected. So they were of the opinion that these elections results should be projected so that the RFS forms that are in the hands of the various political party officials that we are in the various polling units could be verified, because they believe that once the results that are being tallied are projected, so it is clear for everyone to look and ascertain whether what is in the IFF form is what is with them. But what happened was that they had that argument that grew until there was a protest in the northern city of Makeni, which happens to be the opposition stronghold. The NEC, I believe, the Electoral Commission for Sierra Leone, I'm told, reverted to start tallying the results in a projection. So I think that was it. And even yesterday, there was a commotion between the main opposition and some security forces, for which tear gas canisters were being launched into the main opposition party headquarters during a press briefing in which the leader of the party, who happens to be the presidential candidate, Dr. Samura Kamara, made claims that he had won the election by considerable margins. And I think that particular press conference.
Hello, Abdul-Malik, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Okay, that particular boo between the police and the main opposition party took place about 2 hours after an earlier on press conference organized by the ruling Sierra Leone People's Party, where they themselves also made it clear that they have won the election. So it's both parties claiming that they have won the election as at yesterday. But the confrontation in the All People's Congress Party office led to the shooting of one nurse who they said she's a matron attached in one of the government hospitals in Makeni. She was at the party office for a visit when they said she was hit by an Astra bullet. So she died yesterday, and a lot of officials, including the international observers, and even, let me say, international press and local press members were caught up in that confrontation that led to the death of that woman. Some were trapped inside the opposition party headquarters for hours with tear gas being launched inside the building. So as at now, just about 2 hours ago, for Sierra Leone has released 60% of the official results, for which the incumbent president, retired Brigadier Julius Maada Bio, they say she's leading with over 1 million votes at an instance around 55.7%.
Thank you very much for that update. I'd like to bring our second guest on the panel into the conversation, Sidi Yaya Tunis, the spokesperson for the APC party in Sierra Leone. Sidi Yaya Tunis, thank you very much for joining us. In your opinion, how would you assess the conduct of Saturday's elections? Can you bring us up to speed with the incident that happened at the APC campaign headquarters? Is there any investigation going on to get to the root of the violence? And what's the status of the woman that was injured?
Well, thank you very much. You will have to look at the whole electoral process from several contexts. In the first place, we are thankful and grateful to the people in the manner in which they turned out to vote, regardless of all the challenges that faced, whether it's with the the security forces firing tear gas canisters while people were standing in line to vote. And, even also continuing that during the counting process so that people will not be around when counting takes place. So you will commend the people of Sierra Leone for their resilience and determination to vote. But of course, we've had several issues with the ECSL even before election started, from around voters register to the way they wanted to do counting and transmission of results, and also the secrecy around the whole elections process. Regards the issue at the party office yesterday, we were to have a press conference wherein we will address the nation on some of the ills that we have found out about the handling of the elections by the ECSL. And during that, the security forces came in heavily armed, fired tear gas canisters, live rounds, and we had our presidential candidate, our party executive, all in the building, including myself. Tear gas were fired severally. We all had to take cover, and live rounds were used. He was actually killed in that incident. So today, as I speak to you now, just a couple of minutes ago, the Electoral Commissioner secretly again just announced some vague elections result, about 60%, he says. We have no breakdown.
Okay.
No political party was invited. No breakdown where those 60% came from. We don't know the method he used. We don't know if he says 60%, what is the percentage for each district? We don't know those details. He just gave us vague results.
Right now, on what you're saying, I want Abdul Malik to actually give more light on this because I don't want it to be just one-sided. These results that have been claimed to be announced by the Electoral Commission in Sierra Leone, how valid are they and what's your assessment of the results announced so far?
That is a good question. The fact of the matter is...
Thank you so much, Sidi. I just want Abdul Malik to quickly answer that, then we'll come back to you, please.
Well, the validity of these results have... because they were announced less than 2 hours ago, it's about 2 p.m. and it's now just gone past 4. The validity of the results has still not yet been questioned because insofar as it is, no one is clear as to which region or which district was particularly being referenced in the results. The All People's Congress officials, or let me say our officials, are on social media are now saying that, alleging that most of the results that have been called are the ruling party strongholds, while ruling party officials are in social media now saying that most of the results that have been called are in the opposition stronghold. But what has not been clear up to now is that the Electoral Commissioner did not explain specifically as to which region, how many percentage of which region amounts to the 60%. So it's still not clear as to where the weight is. And that is why up to now, people cannot specifically reference. And there is still no contention yet as to the results.
Okay, thank you, Abdul Malik. Now back to you, CD. When should we expect final results to be announced by ECSL? There's a lot of tension in the country, and both leading candidates appear confident to win. Is this likely going to be a closed contest, and when should we expect final results from the ECSL? And do you expect it to go with this format that the Electoral Commissioner has used, this sort of vague announcement without giving a proper breakdown of what percentage and where these results are coming from?
Well, we will not. I mean, the fact is, in the first place, you still have collation and tallying happening at district level. Those tallies and collation are supposed to be completed, verified, certified by the district elections managers before they could be transferred to the regional election tally center, where they will also tally and collate and verify and certify, then you bring to the national. So we don't know what percentage, constitute this. So we cannot continue in this manner. It is vague. We do not know the breakdown. He's saying in 48 hours, he will announce the final certified result. But as it is now, this mode of announcement has already sent a lot of confusion in the minds of not only political parties, but the people generally. And the fact that collation and tallying are still taking place at district and regional level, and the chief electoral commissioner has announced in this vague manner, it's disturbing, it's concerning to us as opposition party. Just yesterday, we challenged the manner in which tallying and collation was taking place. Our agents was blocked with this glass door where they were, and then there was a glass door between them and our agents and even the observers. So nobody could see what they were inputting in the computers. And the observers raised hell, we raised hell. In the previous elections that we've had, collation and tallying are done with the figures projected for everyone to see. But that is not the case here. And the Electoral Commissioner is We are confident. We've always maintained, we are confident. We know that once the right steps are taken, the right procedures and processes are taken, we have the numbers from the votes that we have, from our own tallies that we've done. We have the numbers to win these elections on the first ballot.
All right, now, Abdul Malik, take us through some of the guidelines for this collation and tallying and the areas that you witnessed the election. Would we say that these allegations of the fact that the opposition were not around for the tallying and collation, how true exactly was it, and what exactly is the mood of the people with all that is going on?
The mood of the people, let me start with the last point that you raised. The mood of the people is somehow offensive. Many are on suspense, and of course, the entire Freetown where I stay is like a society on 10,000 hooks, because Freetown is an opposition stronghold, and they have always won here. Of course, almost all constituencies are being controlled by the main opposition. So what happened was that the main opposition made allegations that they are pulling their officials are not being given direct access to witness the tallying, particularly in places like in Bo, which is the Southern Regional Headquarters, and in Kenema, which is the Eastern Regional Headquarters. But what has been very clear is that the ECSL came out with a statement, a preliminary statement, after the conduct of the election. They made several claims that some of their officials were attacked across the country and all. But all of the areas that they mentioned are in opposition strongholds. But the opposition before the election had made allegations also that their officials, particularly their party agents, are not allowed to monitor elections in some areas in the southeast, which is the ruling party stronghold. But the Electoral Commission did not come out with any statement clarifying or explaining their position, particularly with regards to that. Because the opposition, I'm happy CD is here. He is in the position now to explain more as to what the opposition is going to do. Because they said that some of their officials, we are not allowed to monitor some of the elections in areas, particularly in the southeast. And we are not going to allow, they are not going to accept results in any polling unit where their officials are not allowed to monitor. So insofar as it is, they made those allegations and they said that it actually happened during the elections. They want to know what their party position is after the election, whether they are still going with that. Because going by that, then it means that we may have a situation where the opposition are going to reject some of these results.
Okay, thank you very much, Abdul Malik. Sidi, I want you to respond to those points that Abdul Malik Bangura raised about not accepting results from polling units in places where your agents could not monitor the tallying process. And also, given the reports of irregularities and election malpractices, how significant were these incidents and potentially impacting the credibility and fairness of the election, and if your party, the APC, would accept the results of this elections when the final results are announced in 48 hours, as promised by the head of the ECSL?
I mean, it is huge. And we, even before the election started, we communicated to the Chief Electoral Commissioner that we have problems having polling agents in some districts. Pujan, the whole of Pujan, this is the entire district with total voter registration of about 107,000 people, who registered to vote in that particular district. We could not fill in polling agents because they were being attacked, they were being beaten, some had to be forced out of their homes, to a point that the security forces actually stated that they could not guarantee the safety of any of our agents across our district. So you could imagine we were not able to field in agents, so they could have just done anything or everything they wanted to do. The same also for some parts of Kailahun and Kenema, and these are all areas with huge voters registration. So we had already communicated that it will be very impossible for us to be able to accept results coming from those areas to fully participate in monitoring the voting of elections, and even the tallying and collating of results at the station level in those districts.
Election in those areas where voting were interrupted or disrupted, will you call for re-election in those areas? What is your party demanding?
Well, we'll have to meet. I mean, now that the ECSL has started announcing in this manner, we'll have to meet again within a few minutes. We'll come up with a position as to what we're going to do. But some of these we've already made known previously, like, for example, not accepting result. Rerun could be, appropriate for those areas, or just, because you cannot forget about the whole, you can also disenfranchise, and the possibility of also not having representatives for parliament and council. So rerun could be an alternative.
Thank you, Sidi. Now, Abdul Malik, last time Sierra Leone went to polls 4 years ago, it was a very close contest between the incumbent president and the opposition leader. Now, in the event that no candidate secures a clear majority, what are the potential scenarios and implications for forming a government and maintaining political stability in Sierra Leone?
Hello?
Yes, Abdul Malik, did you get my question?
Benga, can you explain the second limb of your question, please?
I said in the event that no candidate secures a clear majority, what are the potential scenarios and implications for forming a government and maintaining political stability in Sierra Leone? What conditions need to be met before the ESL declares a candidate as winner of the presidential elections?
But by virtue of the Constitution of Sierra Leone, Act number 6 of 1991, for you to be elected as a president of Sierra Leone, more so in the first ballot, you must be able to secure 55% plus one vote, which has become very difficult to get, particularly in an ethno-regional and ethno-political society like ours. It has been a very difficult situation to get that particular thing. And also now, it becomes more difficult because this particular election is an open challenge between the ruling party, SLPP, and the main opposition, APC. And you have to look now, is there going to be any alliance? Then the answer will be certainly not. Because even the third party that is now in the race, which is the National Democratic Alliance, is way behind with just 14,000 votes. The ruling party is having like 1 million, about 1 million votes, while the All People's Congress Party is having about 787,000 votes currently, and the third party is having just 14,000 votes. So even if all the parties, the remaining parties, form an alliance with the second, they still cannot alter any, they still cannot make any difference in the voting pattern. But I think we have an issue of constitutionality rather than popularity. Because when you look at the Constitution, it's expressly clear that we should have 55% plus one vote. So if the president can get, even in the first round, 52% or 53%, then he still can go to a runoff with an opposition that has like 45%. All he needs is to just secure the same 53 he gets to win the second ballot. So many legal luminaries have been arguing that why can't we make it 50% plus one vote? But it's an entrenched clause in our constitution. This cannot be altered except through a popular referendum. And then it becomes more difficult again. So that is it. Forming an alliance, even the third party, even if all the remaining political parties in the race decide to support the All People's Congress, they still cannot make any difference. But it's a very difficult situation now. But we still need to honor the Constitution. That's it. Then also looking at the issue of the ethno-regional and the ethno-political divide, for us, it has always been like this. Don't forget we had a civil war that was fought on that line. We see the predominant Southeast, which has a mandate tribe supporting the SLPP, and the Northwest, which has a Timne, they are supporting the main opposition. That is it. It's not about manifesto. It's not about what is brought to the table, but about being more aligned tribally to a particular cause. So it's very difficult to change the voting pattern.
Okay, now finally, Sidi, I mean, we're looking at the Constitution there, and it says that the winner has to have a clear majority, just like Abdul Malik has clearly stated. How confident are you that your party will be able to, get a clear majority in this election to get the presidential seat?
The ECSL is more transparent and is more accountable as far as handling these elections. Just yesterday, all the elections observer missions issued statements calling on ECSL for more accountability. They are entering are really those that are from the RRFs that came from the polling stations across this country. We are confident that we can still make it on the first ballot, but from all indications with the figures that are being projected now or provided now, with the remaining 40%, we are still braced, for an outright victory, we will see.
All right. Thank you so much, Sidi Yaya Chinis. A lot of optimism there in the elections. We do hope that the best man wins the presidential seat. Thank you for joining us on the conversation. Also, a very big thank you to Abdul Malik Bangura for sharing so much thoughts on the Sierra Leone's elections. Thank you.